If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Welcome to Your Anthem. We have a well-seasoned lady who has an array of education behind her. I was a bit shocked. She has ACIS, which I need to ask her what that is. She has a Masters of Science and a master's degree. I'm thinking, wow, this lady knows her stuff. Right now they have their playlist on Spotify is the 13th playlist, and they class it as being a smooth playlist, which was released yesterday. So all of you go to We Are Lunar Legacy's playlist and check it out on Spotify. We have Selina Hannaford, also known as Luna, here with us today. Hi, Luna. Would you like me to call you? I'm good. What would you like me to call you, Luna or Selina?
I go by anything that I recognise, but Selina's fine.
Okay, let's go with Selina. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
How's your day been actually before this whole...
It's really good, you know. I'm feeling super positive despite all the political madness that's out there. So I'm going with that. I'm embracing it.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, we go into lockdown this Friday, and I'm thinking, it's my birthday on Friday too.
Oh no! Happy birthday!
Thank you. So I'm a bit disappointed, but oh well. Thank God for technology.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, thank you for being on this podcast. So this podcast is all about really finding your authentic self and projecting that into the world. And I thought that it would be great to get people from all around the world to tell their stories about how they came to where they are now, and just about how they found themselves and staying true to who they are. And I think is really important. And for you, I find it quite interesting because when did you start Lunar Legacy?
So Lunar Legacy, I started a year and a half ago now, and it represents quite a different direction in my life. So I am approaching 40, horror show. And I think I spent 15 years working in the corporate sector. As you say, I'm a chartered secretary. I'd done several master's degrees. I was kind of collecting them. And I just was really dissatisfied with what I was doing in my day-to-day life. And I'd always kind of been involved in the music scene on the side as a hobby, as a side hustle, and just kind of really decided to take the plunge and go full-time running Lunar Legacy, managing rappers and producers, and then creating this kind of community platform to give opportunities for artists that couldn't really break through to find a safe space to kind of test out their creativity. So by doing events, doing the Spotify playlist, doing YouTube platform, got into videography. So I'm now doing kind of freestyle videos and music videos. So yeah, just really kind of flexing on the creative side, and following my passions rather than following the shoulds that we all kind of get pumped into us in our adolescence about what we should do with our lives. So yeah.
I love it because I'm just wondering, what's your background, may I ask? Like, where are you from?
I'm British, but my mum is from Finland, and I grew up with her, so Nordic.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just thinking, how does I would say a white lady in the corporate scene doing, the corporate work, getting her money, go from that to managing black artists. I know that at the moment you manage Maverick West, K. Melody, Anton Natty P. Flanders, and Fela Me. So I mean, I've checked out a bit of Fela Me, and I love his name. I love Fela Me. I went to his Instagram. I like the vibes of Fela Me. How do you go from the corporate world to managing 4 black guys essentially, and
3 black guys, 1 white guy,
and 1 white guy, sorry, that's Maverick Quest. How do you go from that to this and not feel a way about people judging you? I mean, obviously people judge a book by its cover, but how did you make that transition so confidently?
Well, I grew up on hip hop, and I've always been in the scene. I think, I'm from London, innit? So like the environment you grow up in anyway is super diverse. I like to think it's not really about people's backgrounds, although that's an exciting part of being in London, is that diversity and is that you get to experience different cultures. But I think for me, it was really just about, this is something I'm passionate about. I've got all of these skills. I'm now confident enough to run my own business, to boss something that I want to put everything into, make my own peas at the end of the day. And to do it in an arena that I have real passion for. And I think that's where it all started. And you mentioned Fella Me, that Fella's my creative director. We started the company together. He's one of my best friends. And we really started it because we could see that so many artists we knew who were super talented were just not getting the opportunity to perform, to be profiled, to have their music heard beyond their kind of friendship groups. And so when we started Say No More, which is our fortnightly showcase and open mic night in Shoreditch, we really did it because we wanted a platform for the people we like to listen to come through and perform. And we got really lucky because artists like Shocker and Double S from Marvel, or the late Ebo from Foreign Beggars, rest in peace, really supported the movement, came through, wanted to be part of it, wanted to showcase their new music that they were working on that was slightly different to the things that they'd been doing before. So by being part of that community and having that support and having the confidence in myself at an older age to really back my vision for what I wanted to do with it, I think those were the things that really drove me into the new space. And also just kind of the push factors. Often you're working in environments, particularly as women, where you aren't appreciated or you don't necessarily believe in the values of what you're doing. And that can be a push factor as well. Like, I want to go out and do this my own way and be able to work in a way that supports my belief system and my ideologies, and be more than just about clocking the 9 to 5, but actually like feel like you have some impact and some purpose in what you're doing.
Yeah, I love it. I love when you said doing it your own way. I mean, everyone can make money, but are you making money the way that you really want to make your money? And I can relate with you in that sense, because I took redundancy recently. I was working for NatWest and I took redundancy, and I am just going with the flow with my talents and started this podcast, and here I am just building something again. So
we are totally about that. I love it. I think sometimes you need that. I think in this environment as well, people are really starting to reflect on what's important and what really means something to them. And you're seeing so many people come out as entrepreneurs and creatives and doing things that you didn't really anticipate they would do. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. It's I keep saying both to my team, but also more broadly just to my friends and people I care about, like, I want to come out the other side of COVID in a better position than we would have been had it not happened. Not just surviving it, but, you know, coming out and really have made something of it. And it's really beautiful to see people like you do things that are outside of where they might have seen themselves. So yeah, I think it's really exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, and I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think now is the biggest time to take the risk. I mean, we're alive. There's a lot of people that didn't make it to this point. I mean, we could have been dead. It's like being reincarnated almost. Like, we have another chance to reset our destinies and our lives. I know you started this around a year ago. So obviously that was prior to COVID. But I mean, COVID gives you that extra confidence in, look, the world is going down the drain. Let me just do what I want to do. Like, let me just take a shot.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes when you take those shots, when you're working on instinct and you're working to your authentic self, often you'll find that the universe rewards you for that. Whatever your belief system, whether you believe in God or whether you believe in spirituality or however you see the universe, I think when you follow your heart and you really think about what it is that's going to bring you happiness, but also maximize your purpose and impact, that's when you start to see the rewards for it. And I think that's a really beautiful experience for people to be part of. And we're just all seeing it more and more, although there are huge challenges. And, you know, I have mental health challenges to overcome. I think, you know, being aware of everybody that's around you and supporting them, but also helping them to see, like, what are your actual dreams? What's your purpose for being here? Because you might not be here forever. Let's try and, you know, work towards the thing you really want. And that changes your whole perspective, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where it all stems from. I think that's where it all should stem from, your purpose and the impact. And I think, just like you just said, you're not really, should I say, happy with what you're doing until you actually make an impact. I mean, working for these corporate companies, you're just making money for them, but what are you actually contributing of yourself to them? What is unique about what you're contributing? You're just another number to them. So I believe definitely impact and purpose. So what do you believe that your purpose is? I mean, you do quite a lot. You're a storyteller, and you use art, visuals and writing. So what do you believe your impact is? And do you believe that it's just with Lunar Legacy? Do you believe there's more? Is this a starting point?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, actually. I met one of my really good friends, Shoka, about 2 years ago now. And his kind of background story is he was part of a group called Marvel. They were huge with Double S and with Vertex. And he suffered from a mental breakdown. He's diagnosed with schizophrenia. And he's come back into the space of his creativity with a much stronger purpose and message and understanding of his reason for being here on Earth and the purpose he serves as a storyteller. And when I met him, that was really a kind of, I can say a junction in my life where, he really has encouraged my writing, my spoken word artistry, and introduced me to a whole network of other people who are also about that kind of creativity and understanding what their role is here. And I think when you're around people like that, it really helps to lift you up and to give you a stronger sense of your authenticity. So for me, that was a real turning point. And I think that was a point where I kind of realised, partly I've got a really important story to tell that is slightly unconventional and eccentric for a woman of my age, but also that I'm capable of providing this platform and this space. And it's fun in the sense of like, this is the music I love and this is where I'm anywhere, I'm at gigs, I'm out and about networking. I listen, like I want to know all of the artists that are coming up that I'm excited by. But it's also about kind of providing that support and that development for artists that don't necessarily have that space. And I think we do that. We've done that on a kind of global scale. We have a really strong connection in New York as well. So I think those kind of two elements have really come through very strongly in my direction of travel. And I think alongside that, I've started a new initiative quite recently called Burn the Blueprint, which is my second business, as it were, which is much more about working with other people who have found themselves questioning those shoulds that we really are indoctrinated with growing up, what we should be doing with our lives.
Exactly.
And working with them to kind of tell their stories, but also support them in finding their authentic selves, what their passions are, and kind of living a more extraordinary life than they might have imagined otherwise. So those are kind of my worlds at the moment that I'm working towards.
I kind of love it. I love it, and I love what you said about when you, at your junction, when Shaka came out of that mental health state and he now was more authentic to who he was, and how that helped you to be authentic to who you were. So I think that definitely when we do walk in our own purpose and authenticity, it also gives other people the courage around us to do so. So we're kind of our own, if you would call it, flags, anthems. The way we live our life, we're anthems. So what we do and where we go, we kind of are pushing that out. People can see it and people can hear it and people can feel it, and it's like it gives that energy out there for people to feel comfortable about being themselves. And I think that is essential. It's about being yourself. And I think that you cannot really be optimized if you don't walk in your purpose. I mean, I feel that there's a reason why you were born the way you were born, and that does stem through purpose. What do you think about that? Do you feel that you can choose your purpose, or do you feel that everybody's born with their innate purpose?
I think it's a combination of many things. I think it obviously it depends on your existential view of the world, how things occur to you anyway. But for me, I think there are two things that happen. There is the part of you that is who you are from your very core when you're born, whether that's what you've inherited from your parents, whether that's your DNA, whether that's the way you're raised, and that stays with you. And I'm really conscious of that, because I lost my father when I was 13, and he still plays a very big role in my life in terms of me understanding my identity, because I still feel incredibly close to him. And I think that his purpose feeds into mine, if that makes any sense. I mean, he was an academic who was the first person who wrote a book proving that race is a social construct. So that's very much fed into who I've become as a person and the way that I was raised and my ideologies. And I think that core of who you are stays with you. It's something steely that's within you, but that it often gets derailed by the pressures of taking on certain jobs, undertaking certain education, finding this beautiful, stable partner that you're supposed to have by the time you're 25, having kids, all of these things that you are meant to do, the shoulds. But I think the other thing that happens is that we all have our experiences and our connections and our networks, and those energies inform our direction of travel and what we're capable of. And I think it's finding that balance between the authentic self that's with us from birth and the expression of that comes through our experiences and our friends and our families and how that influences us, and being true to both of those sides of the equation, I think.
I love it. I actually love that answer.
Thought about this a lot.
What was the name of your dad's book? Like, that is so cool.
It's called Race, The History of an Idea in the West.
Lovely. So guys, check that book out, because I think it's...
You can find a reading list, which I put up in the midst of Black Lives Matter on the Lunar Legacy website, lunarlegacy.com, which is really informed by both the kind of history and theologies around the concept of race, and then the very real impacts of racism and what it means for our societies and how we might tackle that.
That is so cool. I love it. You have a reading list too. Amazing.
I have a reading list too. Yeah.
Come on, guys. Better get yourself to We Are Lunar Legacy. Get to their website and check out their reading list. I think it's important that even as creators, we educate ourselves when we read. And I think that opens our mind to another world and different insights, which could, have an impact on our decisions in a positive way. So,
sure.
So how are you coping in COVID-19? Like, what do you do to keep yourself motivated?
I think I live alone, just to preface the rest of this conversation. And it's the first time in my life that I have lived by myself. So I moved into my flat in December. And to be honest, I was kind of panicking about living on my own anyway. And then COVID hit. So it was incredibly challenging at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, I'm in isolation. I'm never going to see anyone again. And I did get a bit panicky, like, this is the apocalypse. I'm going to die alone with my piano. But I think one of the most important things in life, and I've really learned this through the many challenges that I have faced, is resilience is the most important thing. Self-efficacy, the belief that you have inside of yourself, everything that you require to get through whatever is presented to you. I believe in God, so I think God only gives you what you can carry. And I think for me, it's really been about making sure that I'm putting my energies in the right place, having the people around me who I know are invested in their own growth, but also in my growth, that there is a collective sense of support. And I mean, Legacy has always been about that. We're very much a community. We want to be open to people who want to engage with us, and provide that support. So when it hit, for us, the first thing we did was set up a weekly online open mic and showcase for free, because we felt that it would provide a space that if people are on their own, or even if they're with people but they aren't with other creatives, that they could come through and share their feelings about what was happening or share their new work, just to have that space and that platform to feel secure and held up. And then as soon as the lockdown ended, we went back into doing our events twice a month. We obviously had to make big changes in terms of the health and safety elements, but we felt it was important to do, and to do in a way that was safe and respectful. So we had Say No More, 5 of them live in between lockdown and the 10 p.m. curfew. Then our venue, Looking Glass Cocktail Club, got shut, so we had to rethink again. And obviously we're now going into lockdown, so we're again looking at new virtual online events. So for us, it was really about safeguarding that space for the community that we've built, and also for my artists that I manage, to really provide that positive, engaging dialogue about what is possible. I think the music industry's always been about resilience and change.
Yeah.
And I've been in it on and off for 17 years, Jesus. And I think you can never expect it to stand still, you know, whether it's, for me, when I first started, my first job was at Warner Records, and it was really about, you know, the sudden appearance of streaming platforms and how to cope with that as a record label. You know, now it's about, okay, we don't have touring, we don't really have that same merch stream that we might have done. How do we do things differently? How do we innovate? And I think that's the exciting thing that you have to take out of what is otherwise a very dreary situation, is kind of the challenges and how to overcome them and how to be resilient and positive in the face of all of that. And for me, that's what keeps me going, is knowing there are new opportunities here if you're prepared to find them. There are new people who want to collaborate that wouldn't necessarily have spoken to you before. And just finding your tribe, even if that tribe might be online now rather than in the real world, it's finding that space to hold yourself and other people up.
Yeah, I love it. So it's an online platform on your website that hosts online gigs, practically.
So we do it through YouTube and Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, YouTube and Zoom, lovely. And is can artists reach out to you if they want to take part in this?
Yes, yeah. It's an open mic, so.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so we have people from all around the world that come through. You know, we've had up to 500 in the audience at some point. So, it's really exciting. And again, it's opened new doors for us, because we've met people around the world who wouldn't be able to come to the physical space where we host our event. And we've seen our physical event massively grow, so that it was sold out, all 5 of the events that we put on. So there are opportunities here, and I kind of really encourage people to, even in the depths of despair, to try and find those opportunities and those new ideas and connect with people, because everyone's out here and struggling, and it's kind of uplifting to be with each other in that.
Yeah. And you know, this, like you said, this has given people opportunities to get closer to each other, because everything's virtual. So I think it's easier to connect with people, and people that wouldn't have had, you know, looked in your direction and now looking in your direction. So I think people should use this time as an opportunity to really to go for it and not feel afraid. And like you said, find your tribe. I think finding your tribe is very, very important. If you're around people that are scared to take risks, you'll most likely be somebody who'll be scared to take risks. So find people who have the same values as you, and people who want to go in your same direction, and they'll propel you and give you the confidence to do so. And that's amazing that you do gigs with people all around the world. How has that been so far, business-wise and personally? Have you been able to, you know, network with them on a higher level? Have you made some friendships? How has it been for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, Legacy, I was so lucky in the sense that my company, the people that I manage, the artists that I'm working with are just beautiful humans. So it makes my job, you know, obviously in music management, you're always dealing with different characters and different kinds of relationships. And it's
not
important
always
to be able
easy.
Not always easy. And, you know, it goes back to your initial point. I am a white woman who primarily is managing people that work in the hip hop industry. So believe me when I say I've been to stage doors to say I'm on the guest list, and they assume I'm somebody's hairdresser or makeup artist. And they look horrified when I'm like, no, I'm K-Dot's manager. So, you know, there's always that. And I think that's true of being it's true being a woman in the creative space more generally as well anyway. But I'm so blessed because I'm with artists that I share values and a vision with. And that motivates you. You want to get up in the morning, you want to push their careers, you want to be able to plug them, you want to find them new opportunities. But I think alongside that, it's also that the broader community, the broader tribe that we're cultivating are just blessed people. They're talented, they're innovative, they're open about the challenges that they're facing. I mean, something we've really felt is important is to talk a lot about mental health, both through Lunar Legacy more broadly, but also at Say No More our open mic event. For me, like, I have anxiety and depression, so it's really about how you can manage yourself in that environment. And if you've got people who are supportive and who speak openly about it, so you don't feel the stigma that can be attached to those things, it makes such a huge difference. And I think that's really seeking out other people that support you in that way, and being mindful of it and being mindful of other people's experiences. I always say, you know, with this whole COVID thing, you know, in the beginning there's loads of people that are saying, you know, if you come out of the other side of this and you haven't started a business and done a master's degree and changed your life and then you've failed. It's like, well, some days I can drag myself to the sofa and watch 74 episodes of Catfish, but I'm still here. And I think that's kind of the important message, is like, we're all dealing with this differently. We're all facing what is an unprecedented experience for humanity. And being mindful of that and being mindful of the people around you will draw you to the right people and find you those ideas and that innovation that everyone so desperately craves at the moment.
Yeah, I believe that, like, mental health is very important and people often overlook it, but I think it should be given as much awareness as physical health. I think is so important. We all feel it. I mean, it is something that you cannot ignore. Like, we all have thoughts and feelings, and I feel that it's nice that people are open with what they're going through, because everybody goes through mental health. Like, it's not just about being fit or being unfit. I mean, you can go through a situation that could change your mental health in a second, you know. So I feel that is very good what you're doing through Say No More and your events, giving people that voice to actually express themselves from where they are now, and, you know, having that release and support, and that is very, very good. And I feel that mental health should be taken care of. I think, guys, you know, you're going through a time right now where you're going to be at home, but don't lock yourself at home. You know, go online and connect with people, meet new people, and go for your walks and meet up with people in your local neighborhood where it's safe to do so, and keep on moving. I think that's what you're doing, Selina. You're not stopped, you're moving. Even if you're at home on the couch watching Catfish, you're still moving because you have the internet there, which helps you to run your course of life. So you're still moving, and I think that's an important message that people should understand, is even though you can't really go to many places, you're at home, it's a lockdown, keep moving. Like, with your thoughts, with your gifts, with your talents, with connecting with people, with being involved in projects, keep moving. And I feel that will keep us on a healthy, steady lane to our purpose. And yes, Lena said it so well. I think you're so cool, by the way. I think you're so cool. Honestly, like, we need to be friends. After this, we need to be friends. Like, you're so cool. Like, if I was to see you on the street, I wouldn't think you're just cool. But speaking with you, I'm thinking, she's cool, you know.
I think it's really interesting because, like, for example, I recently did a podcast called Hot Girls for Lex on the Decks. She's amazing. You should check it out if you haven't checked it out. And I just spoke to her on the podcast, and then we hit each other up afterwards, and she's now one of my resident DJs at my event.
Wow.
And there's so many opportunities like that where you just connect with people because you're all trying to do something in these dark times. You just find people that are synergistic with you, and it's like you say, you wouldn't necessarily have stumbled on them or met them some other way, but this space create something different. And also, like, big up to Shani Mears for the guest list, because that's how we connected. And those are the kinds of spaces, like, get yourself involved, get yourself out there, find people that are on the same vibe as you. I think it's so important right now.
Yes, lovely. So you can find Selina at Luna Lisa Bet, Luna Lisa Bet. Find her there on Instagram. You can find her company, We Are Luna Legacy, on Instagram. You have the links to her website there and all the artists that she manages. Make sure to check out her reading list on the website. And don't forget about Say No More, which is the online events, which is hosted on YouTube and on Zoom. You can get, it's an open mic, so feel free to go there and release something to the world. I think it's so amazing what Selina is doing, and I kind of like applaud her for it, because she came from a steady environment of working in the corporate world and actually wants to give back, and is from an authentic place also, which I think is really amazing. So yeah, it's been amazing speaking to you, and I think we're definitely going to get you on again in the next 6 months to see where you are at with everything.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm happy to chat to anyone at the moment, so anyone out there, hit me up.
Get in touch. I love it. I just love it. You see, this is what it's all about. Lovely. All right, signing out. La-pel. See you in a week and a half. Bye.
Love.